All right. Hello, everybody. Here we are back for week 5. Time is flying in regards to our course here. So we have this week where we're going to talk about mindfulness and meditation. We also have our last week next week, which is probably going to be my favorite as I'm passionate about journaling. So next Wednesday will be our last session together. Just to recap, last week we were talking about communication and boundaries and just kind of um, recommended that you guys evaluate, kind of reflect on how you communicate with your different emotions. So, did you notice if you're feeling or if you're communicating differently when you're frustrated, angry, or sad versus when you're more happy or joyful? So, no need to comment. I know this is recorded, so just wanted to recap, and hopefully, you guys found some insight in that regard. So today we are going to talk about mindfulness, benefits of mindfulness, why it's good for us. And with that, I thought it was important to kind of talk about handling overwhelming thoughts and triggers, as that is a part of being mindful, recognizing what those are so we can go ahead and, maybe react and handle those in different types of ways. I'm going to talk about meditation, and then I do have two mindful meditation for us to do, as well as a guided meditation. So today, hopefully, will be nice and relaxing for you and different components of that. So I love this picture because if you really look at it, are our minds full or are we mindful? And I think this picture clearly depicts this because, as you can see, the one on the right where the mind is full, I feel like a lot of us can resonate with that on a daily basis, probably. I make the analysis of I feel like most days my mind has like 1,000 tabs open at one time. So a lot of times I do feel like my mind is full. What we want to do is kind of work towards the right side of this photo where we're being mindful, where we're able to be present in the moment, really enjoy opportunities that we have, whether it be at work, whether it be with our spouse, our parent, our kids, our neighbors, whatever that is, just really trying to close or at least minimize some of those tabs so we're able to be more mindful and present. And when we're able to do that, we're able to reduce some stress as well, right? When we're mindful, that does bring us some joy because, again, we're not worrying about the things that we've thought about in the past. We're not necessarily thinking about our to-do list and the things that are going to happen in the future. We're really in it in the moment with that person and even working on projects, right? Being mindful of the things that we're doing, not answering emails like we had talked about with time management, working on a project and staying focused on that and not checking our phones and not checking our emails and really disrupting ourselves. So, just taking a look at that, thinking about where your mind falls. And some days it could be where your mind's full. Some days maybe you're being mindful. And probably for a lot of us, depending on the scenario, it might be a little bit right there in the middle, right? We feel like we're running on autopilot when we're in where our mind is full phase of this. Other than really focusing on our surroundings, again, really noticing our senses and enjoying the experiences that we are able to go through. So, what is mindfulness on top of that? It's really the quality or state, excuse me, of being conscious and aware, awareness of the present moment while calmly acknowledging one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. And that's just the thing, too. So, we want our mind to be focused, but we all also want to notice what our feelings are in that moment, what our emotions are, uh, you know, how our body is physically feeling. Are we chilly? Do we need to grab a blanket? I've got my little old lady blanket here on my lap right now because it still is a little chilly, even with the sunshine. Do we need to add another pair of socks so we can really feel comfortable, not worry about those physical sensations, and be mindful throughout? And so some benefits of being mindfulness, it really kind of brings us back online, right? It helps us to close down those tabs. It helps us to not focus again on things that have happened in the past. We can't do anything about that anyways, right? The only thing we can do and use our energy for past experiences is maybe to learn from those types of experiences, to really hone in on the joy that it brought us. But really, it's not doing us much good if we want to try to be in the present moment and be mindful. And the same thing, again, worrying about things in the future or thinking about things in the future, yes, we have to prepare. Yes, we have to plan for certain things. But if we, constantly are in that state of worry, it can bring us anxiousness. It can bring us a lot of extra stress that we don't necessarily need to add to our bodies, right? And research has shown that 90% of the things that we worry about never happen. So, really being mindful helps us to kind of prevent that extra energy that we necessarily don't need to be spending. And, like I've told you guys in the weeks previous, I'm a work in progress. I mean, I am a little bit of a worrier, again, mostly with the kids and making sure everything is X, Y, and Z. But that's where next week will come into handy. I'll give you some tools to help you really write those things down so we can close some tabs down and not worry about forgetting what we have to be doing, right? Being mindful can help make decision making easier. Again, being focused on the here and now, being focused on the project, and not being distracted by all the other things that we might have going on in our mind. It can help with our communication. We talked about that last week, but being mindful can really better and enhance our relationships if we're able to practice that mindfulness when we're having that conversation with somebody. Yes, have your phone next to you, but you don't need to immediately check it the second that, an alert or a notification comes up. So, really putting those things aside while we're having those conversations. Just from that alone, you can see how that person that you're speaking with is going to know that you are in that moment with them because you're not distracted. And being mindful really helps with our mental well being, right? Everything that I've said so far closes our tabs down. It helps us to pause. It just helps us to focus in on what we're concentrating on, enjoying the people that we're with, enjoying those experiences. Same hand in hand to reduce that stress. And again, it can also help to regulate our emotions when we're mindful. Like I said, if we're able to be in that moment, figure out how we're feeling emotionally, we can acknowledge that, we can tend to it, and hopefully we can close that tab down as well too, right? When we're able to acknowledge or reflect, maybe something did happen in the past. And of course, we're not going to forget our past, right? The point is here is to not dwell on it. So if you feel like you have emotions, from past experiences, by all means, evaluate that, reflect on that, use resources to help you with that if need be, but then kind of move on from that once you're able to do that. And it helps to improve our cognitive function. So again, our brains are able to use all of its resources, all of the knowledge that we have when we're really honed in on what we're working on or when we're talking to somebody. And so again, with mindfulness, I really wanted just to take a few minutes to talk about when we do have some overwhelming thoughts, when we do have too many tabs open, and sometimes it is hard to kind of minimize those. So, what can we do? We can scale the problem. We can evaluate the heaviness of it. Is it a big problem? Is it a smaller problem? Can we handle it later or does it need to be handled now? So, again, next week, I think all of this will kind of build up to it. But I have a lot of really great resources and tools for you guys to use to help you do this. Awareness of cognitive disorders. Are we jumping to conclusions? Are we using the all or nothing thinking or thinking the worst in every situation? And again, I think it's great to be prepared, even from the safety standpoint. We're at a restaurant. Yes, it's important to know where your exits are. Yes, it's important to be aware of your surroundings. But do you stop there or do you go to the next phase of worrying what could happen? Um, and as you can imagine, when we're in that state of worry, that can bother our stress. It can enhance our stress, it can enhance our anxiousness, and that's not good for, our heart health, as we've talked about in weeks past. And then again, just taking that mindful moment, checking our perception and seeing if there are alternative ways to think about the problem. We had that activity last week with communication. Are you using I statements or are we still using you statements? Those you statements, when the person you're saying those to can get very defensive because you're technically blaming them for something, for how you feel, as opposed to stating how you feel because of. So, again, just some things to think about when you start to have those overwhelming thoughts and moments. And again, in today's session, I have a couple of guided meditations for us to do, as well as a breathing exercise that can help us when we do start to feel a little overwhelmed. And then really just wanted to, again, spend a moment on what what might trigger you, right? Um, a trigger is just a stimulus that can cause an emotional reaction. This could instill anxiety, panic, or despair, as well as anger, shame, or defensiveness. So, thinking about maybe somebody that you don't necessarily look forward to talking with. Well, why? Is it an image? Is it the place that you are holding that conversation? Are there certain smells or sounds? Maybe you have memories from a past conversation with them where it wasn't a pleasant conversation. And so you have that kind of anticipation built up. Or is it, kind of a situational thing for you? Are you more sensitive or triggered during certain times of the day, during situations that you have experienced before? Certain days, Sundays can be a little bit of a trigger. It can kind of, if we're thinking of it that way, kind of be a little more anxious thinking about the week that we have coming ahead and what we need to do for that week. But if we're able to be prepared and thinking of it that way, that we're preparing for the week as opposed to all the things that we have to do, again, as we talked about, just framing things differently in your mind. And when we talk about triggers, also, thinking about, are you hungry? Are you already angry? Are you lonely? Are you tired? And we all know, probably have been there before, especially with being hungry. We call it hangry. When I'm hungry, I can sometimes fly off the handle a little bit more. When I'm tired, I definitely am a little more impatient and sensitive. So it's just really about identifying what your triggers are to help you learn to deal with those so you can set those aside and really be mindful in these situations. So, lots of ways to practice mindfulness. Intention setting, we've talked about that a little bit throughout each of these weeks. What is your purpose? What is your intention for that meeting? What is your intention for the weekend? How about on Sundays? Can we move it to anxiety filled Sundays to prep Sundays? So think about what your intentions are in these scenarios. We've talked a lot about these last couple of weeks about reflection, whether it be how you're communicating, whether it be what your expectations are of yourself and others, reflecting on past experiences to learn from them to help us through some of those things emotionally if we still feel, that we need to deal with certain things still. So that reflection can really be a big thing in helping us to be mindful. And as I talked about, I think it was last week, the bookends, reflecting either in the morning on your day upcoming or reflecting at the end of your day from the previous experiences that you had. Anything that was positive and pleasant, really embrace those feelings, take those with you, take a moment to revisit those feelings from that situation, as well as on the flip side, right? So if there was an unpleasant situation, what can you do to kind of get yourself through that? So again, you can just calm those emotions down a little bit and be more mindful and present. Again, journaling we'll talk about next week, but the more that you're able to write down, the more you're going to get off your mind, the more tabs you're going to be able to close down, whether it's a to-do list, whether again it's a situation that you would like to just kind of vent about, keeping a diary of those kinds of things, whether it's about milestones for, one of your children or one of your grandchildren or somebody that is special to you. Writing those things down and keeping track of it is a great way to be mindful as well. And thinking about when we're eating, right? This is a big part of our day. Are we going through the motions? Are we multitasking? And again, I'm guilty with this a lot of times at lunch. It's easier, especially when we have a full day, right? I try not to make a practice or a habit of it, but on those days that I have to just get through and I know I've got to eat so I don't become hangry, there's exceptions, and be flexible with these situations. Knowing yourself and knowing what is best for you is obviously going to work best for you. However, if you're able to bring in mindfulness while we're eating, setting the fork down in between bites, really using your senses, how does it smell? Enjoy the aroma, really enjoy the flavor of what you're eating, and really set that appreciation for being able to fuel your body. And just kind of think of mindful eating as just a healthy practice when we're able to slow down. Our body needs this energy, it needs the calories to keep us going. But when we're able to slow that down, we're able to enjoy that experience just that much more. Taking breaks, I encouraged you guys, I think in week 2 with time management, take breaks. Stand up from your desk if you have a sit down job. Stand up at least once an hour. Get the blood flowing through your body. It helps with your mind. It gives our wrists and our eyes and our brain just that pause. It gives us a little bit to kind of push the reset button. And then self-talk, again, we did talk about this as well, but how are you talking to yourself? What is your narrative? Are you positive? Are you passive to yourself? Are you more on the assertive or aggressive side? Are you in between? If it's more on the negative side and even the passive side, it would just encourage you to examine that and see what you can do to flip that narrative around. And one example of this is, having to do laundry. I mean, there's 6 of us in my household with one teenage girl, almost 2 teenage boys, and then an almost 8-year-old. The laundry is never ending and it is my nemesis, but I have to stop saying it's my nemesis because it has to be done. We all need fresh clothes, right? So I've started just to kind of reframe and I am grateful that I have these kids. I'm grateful that I have the means and the resources to wash my kids' clothes. And we're getting, to the age where my daughter will pretty much do her own, and I'm getting to the age where the boys are going to start doing theirs. But whatever that situation that's kind of nagging at you that you have to do a chore, kind of flip that around. And, it's worked maybe 60, 75% of the time. It's not every time because seriously, it's never ending. um, and so just reflecting on those, reframing your situations and really examining the way that you talk with yourself is a great way to practice mindfulness as well. Okay, so we are at our first activity here. And I'd like to walk you through a mindful breathing meditation. So go ahead and just, if your bodies aren't already comfortable, go ahead and just settle into your chair, wherever you're sitting, and close your eyes and bring awareness to your breathing. Notice your breath coming in and the breath going out, and follow the breath with your awareness. Follow your breath all the way in as you inhale through your nose, into your lungs, down to your stomach, and follow the breath all the way out. And we're just breathing right now, not trying to change it in any way. Keeping your awareness lightly and gently on your breath. Breathing mindfully in this present moment. And you can say to yourself and repeat after me, breathing in, I know I am breathing in. And breathing out, I know I am breathing out. And if thoughts come in as they usually do, just go ahead and gently acknowledge those thoughts without judgment and let them go. Let them drift away like clouds floating across the sky. And bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your breathing, back to being in this present moment. Focusing on this present moment, letting your full awareness be on your breath. Again, as it comes in and it goes out, the familiar rhythm of your breathing, and saying to yourself, as I breathe in, I calm my body. And as I breathe out, I smile. And when you're able to bring your awareness to the breath in this way, you're really connecting your mind and your body in this present moment. And so focusing on your breath for just one more moment, having that awareness of your breathing that's connecting your body, your mind, and your spirit. So that's just a great way, again, when we're feeling overwhelmed, we can just literally sit for 60 or 30 or 60 seconds and just focus on your breathing. Try to let those thoughts, again, acknowledge them without judgment, but just watch them float away and refocus and recenter on your breathing. And that can help when we're feeling stressed. That can help when we're feeling a little anxious, and it definitely helps when we're feeling overwhelmed. So quickly moving on to meditation. Now, benefits here is it improves our sleeping. It helps with reducing pain. It helps with weight management. We have better immunity. We have an increased positive attitude. And it actually improves our heart and skin health when we're able to meditate. This is a practice that has dated back to 1500 BC. Over 1,400 studies have been done on meditation and the benefits of that. So if you're not necessarily a person that typically meditates, that's okay. On our next slide here, as we end our session, I have a guided meditation for you to follow along with me too. And if you enjoyed, if you liked the mindful meditation that we just did, if you like the guided meditation that we're about to do, there's a lot of different videos out there. There's lots of apps out there, a lot of free meditations that you can just go ahead, download a couple to your phone, have those on hand when those situations arise. It's not always for when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. If we're able to practice the meditation, even when we feel calm, this is where we're going to see a lot of these benefits come in. If we can do a 5 to 10 minute meditation pretty much on a daily basis. So this is a meditation that I wrote, and it is our going to our favorite place, guided meditation. So continuing seating in your comfortable position. Again, just breathing normally. Don't need to do anything with your breath except just acknowledging it. And again, if your mind wanders during this meditation, just gently bring it back to the sound of my voice. And just do a quick body scan and notice if you feel any tension in your body. If you do, quietly acknowledge the tension and give it permission to leave as you are relaxing throughout this entire meditation. If it feels right for you physically, elongate your spine and relax your shoulders. And when you feel grounded and ready, gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. And again, settle in by breathing mindfully. Imagine your favorite place. Where is it? Maybe it's a relative's house, a vacation spot, a favorite setting in your favorite book, or even your own home. And when you have your favorite place in your mind's eye, look around and see what you notice. What is the weather like? Is it sunny and warm or cool and cloudy? Are you inside or outside? And just take a few moments to acknowledge the temperature in your favorite place. And who do you see in your favorite place? A family member or loved one? A mentor? A pet? Or someone who has made a difference in your life? Imaginably, maybe this person is a past or a future self of you. Think about what you would like to talk with them about. Past or future events, updates from the present, and think about what significance or influence this person has or had in your life. And we'll pause just for a moment for you to enjoy this experience with your favorite person in this place. Visualize if there are any special or specific foods or beverages in your favorite place. What do you see? What aromas do you smell? And if you decide to eat, what does the food taste like? Next, notice what sounds you hear. Laughter, music, hustle and bustle. Is it loud or quiet? Peaceful or relaxed? And finally, immerse yourself in your favorite place using all of your senses with smells, thoughts, memories, food, and conversation. And now it's time to come back to the here and now and gently release your vision of your favorite place and start to wiggle your muscles a little, your fingers and your toes. And when you are ready, open your eyes, feeling the relaxation and the invigoration, moving on to the rest of your day, having spent time in your favorite place. So we didn't have a chance to go over the breathing, but that's something that I can open up with next week, just again, so you have another tool, and this is the 5-4-5 breathing. So we'll go ahead and open up with that next week. But this week's recommended activities or homework, I would encourage you to incorporate a mindfulness activity into one or more days of your week this week. So as I mentioned, we talk about journaling next week, which I'm super excited about. Please feel free to email me or reach out with any questions that you have about today's information. And otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you for joining me and have a good day.